Alright, so here is our 1993 Range Rover Classic long wheelbase. This movie will get us up to date on the condition of the vehicle at this point and what's been done to it. The vehicle had been sitting for a number of years, parked due to a ABS problem. So the first thing I tackled was the ABS, and all the ABS required was a new used ABS pump and a new brake accumulator. That was the first thing. The motor started up fairly easily. Didn't have to do a whole lot to it. It doesn't burn any oil, it doesn't smoke, it runs nice and smoothly. The last issue I had with the motor is I had a leaky injector, and I replaced the stock injectors with the orange 19-pound Ford injectors, and that seems to have cured that problem. So now we have a good running, driving Range Rover. As many of you know, Range Rovers suffer from rust issues. This really has none of them. You can't really see what's going on under the floor mats. I'll crawl into the car, but we'll just start going up and down all the doors and the door sills. The interior, since I'm over here, the seats have dry cracking in them, but they have no tears. All the glass is good in the car. The headliner is actually pretty much 95% stuck up there. The sunroof fabric looks kind of bad, but as we'll see later, you can just open that and then you have a nice open glass, and the sunroof does work. It requires a little bit of persuasion sometimes, but it works. 3 out of the 4 windows go up and down. This one does not. Haven't gotten to that point yet. Most likely it's a bad switch, which is the most common problem. So again, here's another common area of rust on these. We have none of that. And that's why this vehicle is worth the effort, because if you don't have a rusty Range Rover, you have a Range Rover that can be worked on little by little and enjoyed, and you're not putting your money into a giant hole. The most common area for rust on a Range Rover is going to be this upper hatch. Well, it's one of the most common. This had a spot here. Now I've just basically hit that with some rust preventative and some satin paint just to keep that from getting worse, but that's very solid there. That would easily be remedied. Underneath here we have a little bit of surface rust starting to form, but this tailgate, for an East Coast tailgate, is bordering on amazing. Here's the back. The interior is in nice shape. Everything in this truck needs a good cleaning, which I have yet to do. Here's some rust residue from the old tailgate. I did replace this tailgate, by the way. This was not the original tailgate in the truck. The original tailgate was bad, so I acquired this one, and I still haven't put the cap back on here. So right back in here, you'll see we have paint coming off, but that is all super solid under there. So that area could be, again, same thing on this side. It's not thin, it's just you've got the paint starting to bubble up, which would be your first stage. So that needs to be addressed before anything worse happens there. That's my holder-uppers aren't holding up like they should be. So now, let's take a look underneath here. You know, it's really just, again, it's been converted to coil spring. We should mention that. That's important, because the airbag system on these things was a nightmare. Got your 3-point hitch there. The tread is great on all the tires, but the This one in particular, the front one is a good tire all around. This one has a lot of dry rot, so I've ordered a brand new, I found a Cooper Discover radial, the exact same tire, the 205 R15C, which is an odd size. I'm going to go ahead and replace this one with a brand new tire. Here's a little bit of surface bubbling there. Of course, we're all good under there. And surface bubbling here. Now the other side has none of that. You've got some up there. So what I'm trying to do is show, there's a bee's nest. Again, you're not really going to be able to see too well, but you're going to just have to take my word that there's nothing. Let's go, hopefully you can see that. I mean, the floors are great, the frame is great. Let's see if we can get up under here. There's, again, a little area right there where some undercoating's coming off, but it's all solid. I mean, this is just undercoating right here. We've got solid metal underneath there, so you address that now before it gets bad and there's no issue. The exhaust is in good shape. Runs nice and quietly. There's this thing. I'm not sure what that is. Alright, so now let's talk about the paint a little bit, because the paint on the sides is presentable, but probably want to reshoot this hood, obviously, and the cowl. That's what I would do. I would just basically get some base coat and clear coat and reshoot that. I may actually do that the longer I keep this truck. A lot of what you're seeing here is areas where I didn't clean, and some of this stuff here is from trying to buff this hood out. The roof gives us the same scenario where you've got your clear coat coming off. Now here's one area here on the roof where there's a ding there, and this area here had been mushed in, and I just removed the headliner and popped that back out. It's still slightly warped, so you've got that area there. You've got the tinting on the inside of the window bubbling up here. It was actually like that on this window. Now I took this tinting off this window. I just used my wallpaper steamer and razor blade, and that comes right off. And probably look better not to have that, but then the other side tinting is good. So here's again the surface of the, that surface needs to be painted. Again, you could probably get away, I don't know, you know, I would like to drive this truck off-road, so alright, now let's go inside here. How about, come here, you. Let's put him in there because we're going to go for a ride. Go on in there. Hurry up, old man. There he goes. Lots of room for your dog and your long wheelbase. He's going to climb up in there. This door opens fabulously well. When I first got the truck, that was another issue. There's an adjustment that needs to be done in there, and then your door opens great. So again, taking a look at this seat, there's no tears. You've got some cracking, and of course the worst area is this armrest here. Let's actually, what I'll do is I'll start it up and then we'll take a look at the engine. Our radio, I was able to get the code from Range Rover. That works. So I'm going to put my key in here. I'm going to give it no gas. We just start right up there. When I put these new injectors in, it made a huge difference. Our ABS light is on. I haven't been able to get that code to clear. I've got no reason to think that the ABS wouldn't work once the code is clear, but I'm not promising anything there. All our fan speeds work except for this. I know the compressor is good because it's out of Freon, but I bypassed the Freon switch. I know that works. My power seat here, I removed the memory seat because of course the battery leaked in the ECU. But you know, I just put a manual control in here and hardwired that in, so that works. So you can move your seat around. Your power mirrors are not going to work because of the ECU thing, but you know, once you manually put them where you want to put them, you're fine. Another common area in Range Rovers that go bad is this. I actually have a couple small pieces of wood back here, and then I use some quick setting epoxy, and that is hard as a rock, and so now this is solid again. I'm sure many of you have had these trucks, know what I'm talking about there. This opens up fine. Your transfer case is working fine. High and low range is fine. Cruise control, it works intermittently. Maybe 1 out of 5 times you use it, it just magically wants to work. I did replace the pump in the front. I have a feeling that's going to be loose wiring. I did add this brush guard. This was not on the truck when I got it. I found this at a local Range Rover guy's place. Alright, now I'm just going to hold this hood open. But so, you know, there's your back in down there's your new accumulator. That was the most expensive piece I had to put on this truck. I mean, the motor, as you can see, just runs nice and smooth. Mice got to that. When I first bought this thing, I did lots of vacuuming of mouse nests. Let's see here. The washer situation, I've found the one working pump, and I've got that squirting through the front, so that works. The rear pump does not work. Nor does the headlight pumps. I just completely removed because that was a nightmare. The motor, you know, again, we're dealing with some cosmetic dirtiness here, but all this could be kind of cleaned up. So there's no rust in here. Again, you know, on this truck, rust is not an issue. There's some surface stuff, but so there's a kind of dirty 4.2 for you, but that could all be cleaned up. Alright, and now we'll just go for a little drive. Now, I've slid that back now. I think that looks much nicer than looking at that ugly thing. And then, of course, you got, whoops. I'm going to open that sunroof up like that, get some air through here. And just put that in drive. And away we go. The parking brake works. I pulled the drum off and lubed that all up, adjusted it. The steering, there's a teeny bit of play. There's this much play. And what that is that is the actual steering shaft that goes from the steering wheel to the gearbox, and I have ordered a brand new one, and once that is out of there, the steering will be super tight. I replaced the power steering pump. I forgot about that, so that was another thing that I did. This car just runs quietly and smoothly, and whoop, there's a squirrel. Look out, squirrel. It's a real pleasure to drive, especially on a day like this when it's nice and sunny. The clock works, although it's not 3 o'clock. That clock does work. I have had the battery disconnected for a number of reasons, most recently when I swapped the injectors out. There's no squeaking or banging or clanging. There's a little bit of slop in the drivetrain. It's got 125,000 miles on it. It's nothing that I would do anything about, but it's just, you know, it's there. Sometimes when you put it in drive or reverse, you know, you get a little mini clunk, but it's a basically the drivetrain. You know, you've got your front axle and your back axle and your U-joints, and I'm sure some of that could stand to be replaced, although it's not heinous. I mean, it's nothing you really notice. And of course, being a Range Rover, if you want to, you just drive up on here, and then we just go right up this hill here. When I first had the first one of these trucks, I had driven it on the road for months and months and never taken it off-road. And it wasn't until I finally took it off-road that I realized, alright, well, that's what this truck is designed to do. So I think that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video of this 1993 Range Rover long wheelbase.